Thank you for tuning into this video about who wins elections. Now we're talking about who wins elections when it comes to Congress. So what things play a factor in who gets elected? The first big thing is incumbency. Incumbents, of course, are people that are currently in the position in Congress. So they're running for re-election. So, for example, in this past election, we had Sean Duffy running as a House representative. He was running for re-election. We had Ron Kind. He was running for re-election. Very good chance of getting elected. In fact, over 90% of people win re-election in the House of Representatives. It's a lot because the Senate happens every 6 years. Time can go by. You may forget your candidates. And it tends to be big name candidates or maybe House representatives running for Senate seats. Now, the reason that incumbents win so often is because they have an advantage. First of all, they're already known. So we've known Sean Duffy for the past 4 years, and we did not know his opponent essentially for very long, maybe a year, maybe less. Maybe nobody knew who she was at all. So being already known is kind of a big deal. You're already representing your district. You can claim credit for things. So if good things are happening in your district, you can say, I've been a part of that. I've made change. I've made a difference back here at home. So you can actually give examples of how you've helped your own district. Maybe your opponent can't because they are not in the House or not in the influence that. So it gives you a big advantage, and we tend to see incumbents win. If you just look at this past 2016 election, a lot of incumbents kept their seats. Now, the second big thing that determines who wins elections really affects the House of Representatives. The House of Representatives, of course, is proportional by population. So different states have different amounts of representatives. And those representatives represent districts. Kind represents a different district from Paul Ryan, and Paul Ryan represents a different district from Sean Duffy. They all represent different areas inside Wisconsin. And what can really impact election is changing those districts, because each representative represents a district, and every 10 years we count the population. Now we count the population what we call the census. Essentially, we send out a survey to all the households in America, trying to determine how many people live where and how our population is changing and moving around. So sometimes we move around seats. So sometimes Wisconsin loses seats and California gains seats, or Arizona gains seats. Maybe New York loses a seat. So time. And because it fluctuates and population moves, the states have to change around their districts, and they can create new districts. And the state government's in charge of that. So the state government of Wisconsin is in charge of creating the new districts, which can potentially lead to what we call gerrymandering. Now, if you watch the videos on gerrymandering, gerrymandering is in your state to benefit a political party. So changing the districts in a state to benefit a political party. Sometimes states gerrymander to benefit both parties. So they create districts that will benefit Democrats and Republicans and kind of make them safe districts. But sometimes you will see a state that creates districts that are very odd-shaped, like the one on the right, that may benefit just a specific party. So maybe they get an additional seat for the Republican or Democratic Party in the House of Representatives. In this example in Texas, Texas gained an additional seat in 2003. They added a strange-shaped one, using part of Austin and having go all the way to the border of Texas with Mexico, to create a seat that would benefit their political party. You can even see an example in Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, we had a lot of seats. In the Milwaukee area, we had 2 seats, and in southeastern corner, we had a seat. In the west, we had a seat for Democrats. In the northwest, we had a seat for Democrats. And they were mainly voting Democrat because of large cities being in that district. So it's possible that in past elections, with the Democrats created districts that would benefit the Democratic Party. And then in 2003, we changed around, or more recently that is, and we created districts that were more beneficial to the Republican Party. So if you look at the right map, District 3 now extends beyond just the La Crosse area into where Stevens Point is and where Eau Claire is, and this allows for them to get more Democrats in District 3, which also opens up District 7 to being more of a Republican district. Also, you can Milwaukee area, District 4 was created that combined a lot of Democrats into one district. So putting all the Democrats in one district creates the ability for there to be more Republican districts in your state. Works in reverse. Certainly Democrats could get control of the state and they could move around the districts to better benefit the Democratic Party. This happens both ways. Both parties try and push for this type of gerrymandering, and as long as it's not too obvious, they can pretty much get away with it. So if it looked like Eau Claire and Madison and La Crosse and Milwaukee were all in one district, that would be a weird shaped district and would probably not be allowed by the courts. Mention is the term of apportionment or reapportionment. Apportionment is just when we look at the census and we determine which states are going to get how many seats. So we look at how population has changed in the United States, and we can determine, like looking at this map, that Wisconsin is going to lose a seat in the House of Representatives, and a state like California is going to gain a seat in the House of Representatives. So the House always stays at 435 representatives, so we have to reapportion or move around which states get how many seats in the House. And every 10 years after looking at the census, we do this. So there may be a ton more people living in Louisiana than Wisconsin, but we don't have the numbers for that. So in a couple years, we'll do the census. We'll see that there's a bunch of people living in Louisiana. They all moved there, maybe from Wisconsin, seat from Wisconsin, and move that down to Louisiana. A factor that plays a role in who gets elected is money, because a lot of money is spent on campaigns to get Congress people elected. So campaign spending is a big deal. Just to emphasize how big of a deal this is, the average House election, someone campaigning spends about $2 million. That's $2 million every 2 years in 435 elections. And oftentimes they're competing against somebody else that might be spending $2 million as well. And that's just their campaign. That's not outside people like running ads or organizations running ads. The Senate is even more expensive, but only happens every 6 years and tends to be more powerful and more influential. So a lot of money gets donated to these campaigns and spent on these campaigns. Some of the larger campaigns, like when Hillary Clinton ran for Senator of New York, can run up to $85 million. Incumbent, you may have to spend a lot of money to get your name out there to make sure that you are well known. So the further down you are kind of going into an election, you might have to spend even more. And that can certainly play a role in your campaign and your ability to get elected to Congress. So, something to think about. All of that is certainly very important stuff to know. And we will talk about some other stuff in another video. Thank you for watching.